Hey everyone, we're here with another episode of My Real Estate Story, the podcast where we talk about real estate and business from real people with the real stories. From first deals, scaling portfolios, to motivation and business roadmaps, this podcast is all about real conversations with practical takeaways you can actually use. In today's episode, we're joined by Souvik Chatterjee, who brings a global perspective shaped by years of experience in finance and business. Let's get straight into the conversation. Souvik, thank you very much for giving your time and being in this podcast. How are you?
Good. Thank you. And thanks for having me. Really excited. And how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm just excited to get to know you, and I will just jump into the first question I ask every guest. This is for the audience to know, but I want to know as well. Who is
Hmm.
Souvik outside of the professional world?
Ooh, that's a tricky question. Well, it's a good one. Um, yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, my hobby and everything else is the real estate. That's all I eat, drink, sleep. Like you call me 2 o'clock in the morning, I'll get up and I'll keep on talking to you about real estate. I don't care. Right. I won't say obsessed, that's not the right word, but I'm really passionate about it. Right. I love doing what I do. Um, so I'm a full-time real estate investor. And then once I come back home, my phone doesn't stop, number one. Which I'm not complaining though. I mean, I love it. It's a part of the game, right? But when I'm talking to people, I don't feel like I'm doing a job because I love doing, like I said, I love doing what I do. Um, so I read a lot and I spend a lot of time in gaining skills every day and trying to upgrade myself every day, if that makes sense. Because it's such a fast world right now, and you got to sort of keep on improving and learning something new every day to keep up with the pace. Otherwise, you'll be like sort of falling behind, right? So, did that answer your question? Sort of, I guess.
Actually, more than what I asked for, because if you look at
Okay.
our channel, we did not only talk about real estate, we also talk about motivation. And I like that part where you said improving yourself and keep moving forward. And I want to keep track on this. How did you get started with the real estate? How do you get to this? Again, not obsession, but passion. Was it always there? Was it a gift, or was it a learned skill?
Good question. So, I've only been in Canada for 4 years now. So before I moved to Canada, I was obviously in a few countries. I've been in UK, been in the UK, Dubai, Hong Kong, South Africa. Was heading a startup in Africa as well. Um, and after that, I moved here, you know, to Canada. And then I was obviously I did my homework, and I obviously read a lot about real estate. And my plan was to start, you know, getting maybe become a realtor as soon as I land in Canada. But at the back of my mind, it was always there. So I obviously had a 9 to 5 job, and not I won't say 9 to 5 because I was working as a finance manager for dealership, and it's not 9 to 5, right? We used to put in a lot of hours and good pay. Don't get me wrong, but then at the same time, I realized that I'm actually working for somebody else, and I'm not doing what I want to do, right? So, like I said, it was already at the back of my mind to start real estate at some point. And then, yeah, one of my business partners, he just sort of, I think, gave me that push, which was required. That since you're so passionate about it, let's just do it full time. And I'm like, yeah, let's go. Maybe that's what I wanted to hear, right? And I was like, let's do it. So it's been 6 months. I quit my job, and we are sort of full time real estate investors. We have our own portfolio in Canada. We do wholesaling. That's one of our verticals as well. We would have close to about 40 doors next month, just in Canada. We bought a co-living property in Texas a couple of months back as well. We are working on some other structures in the US as we speak. Um, it's more of giving something back to the community, and that's what I believe in as well. obviously make money at the same time, but at the same time make it, give something back to the community. That's why we got our first property, which was a co-living property. So it sort of caters the affordability crisis right now, where everybody's struggling to find a room and stuff like that. Um, and we're not just giving a room just as in, okay, just with the bed and you're good to go. Every room has got a bed, a desk, a workstation, a closet, a microwave, like a small kitchenette in every room with a smart TV and everything. So you do not need to sort of leave the room if you don't want to, right? Um, but yeah, that's one thing. And then we are trying to sort of acquire a lot more properties now, where we'll be doing the seller financing and making a lot more homeowners who cannot go through traditional financing route, but can buy their own house, and we will basically be the bank for them,
I see.
right?
Well, a lot of questions are popping in my head now, but I want to ask something I want to take it one by one. I want to go to something personal or like introspective, if you would say. What originally sparked because you have such a diverse career across multiple countries, as you've mentioned.
Mhm.
What originally sparked your interest in finance and business and in real estate as well? Was it like when you were a kid, were you dealing stuff in grade school, or like were you really selling stuff and all that? If you could answer that question, well, if you could remember.
Yeah, that's the right question if I can remember. So I believe in something, Lee, and that is anything you do, it all boils down to sales and marketing at the end of the day. It is, right? You are going to Walmart, Costco, buying something. What's that? They're selling you something, right? So the thing is, like I always say, I worked for like 20 years in retail. So I was always, customer centric. I love talking, I love networking, and that just comes naturally to me. Um, and that's a mindset thing people say, but which is true. But the fact that I've been in a customer centric environment for the past 20 years, that just helped in terms of what I want to do or whatever doing, if that makes sense.
I see. Was it natural for you, like, or again, is it a learned skill? Like, did you always have you always found yourself in school and in your friends being able to communicate well, or was it you had to research, or was it a talent or was it a skill for you?
Um, I I think I developed that skill. I wasn't like that when I was in school and college. I was very introvert. I still am. I mean, if you meet me
Doesn't seem like it.
outside my
Doesn't
working
seem like it.
hours, if you meet me outside my working hours, I've got maybe a handful of friends. It's not like, but I'm very selective that way. I want to mingle and talk to people who share the same mindset, and I believe in something which is a lot of positive vibes. Wherever I see there is something negative going on, I'm out. I'm not there, right? Um, there's a lot of stuff going around the world today, which is already so negative, right? So you obviously want to be with people who talk positive, think positive. And like I said, it's end of the day, it's just a mindset, right? And you got to develop that at some point. And like I said, my first job was with Staples in the UK. They don't have Staples anymore, but that's how I started. And I was very skeptical to talk to customers. And, I was like, this is not for me. And then I was like, well, I mean, what's going to happen? Either they're going to say, okay, I don't want to talk to you, or I don't want to buy the laptop or whatever it is, right? And I didn't have the pressure, if that makes sense. I didn't have the pressure. I didn't feel the pressure. Thanks to my general manager at that point of time. Um, and he was like, just be yourself. And interesting enough, we had our KPIs like every other corporate jobs. And I actually hit those KPIs within 3 months, um, which was a record for the district in Scotland. That boosted my confidence a lot. And then from a part-time associate, I landed up being district manager for Staples in Scotland, managing multiple stores. Came back to India for a short stint, did the same thing, managing Staples stores there. They don't have Staples in India either right now. Yeah, and then like I said, was heading a startup in Africa for 7 years, and which was on the verge of closing down. And yeah, so like I said, it's obviously I had to work on it, but I didn't give up. I do not have that give up attitude, right? And when we started full time into real estate, everybody was like, "Oh, you're leaving your job, and like it's tough. It's not easy." I'm like, "Absolutely, it's not easy, and I know that. If it's easy, everybody would do it." But the problem is, don't get me wrong, it's a roller coaster ride. You have months where the pay, the income makes you happy. The other day, other month, it won't. But that's where people give up, right? And people who stay consistent around that time, they go through the long run and achieve what they want to achieve.
I've found myself talking to, as I'm talking to more guests, and you'll see it in the channel. It's become more of a motivational channel. I always say we'd like to talk about real estate, but our guests can talk about anything else and anything they would like to. And one thing I'm been consistently, it's been changing me as well, like the motivation. And now hearing you like giving up is not part of you. What was the process like? So you said you started as I guess a sales representative, right? And then or doing it, you were working in Staples, and you said it was a developed skill. What was the process like for you improving your skills, and what was the mentality like? Or were there moments you felt like you said you thought about like, oh, this is not for me. What was the process like getting that out of your head? No, I shouldn't give up. What was the process in getting to that, and what was the process of developing the skill? Was it just through the job, and or did you read books?
I I didn't used to read a lot of books, to be honest with you. I do that now. I do read a lot of real estate books, to be honest, right now. But like I said, just to develop the skill. But to answer your question, that pretty much came naturally to me. I just kept on, you know, talking to more customers every day, um, just to get it out of my comfort zone. It's always getting out of your comfort zone. The problem is when we're in our comfort zone, we feel so happy and so blessed, and we're like, life is great, right? If you can come out of your comfort zone, that's your step number one. Then everything else will fall in place. But coming out of your comfort zone is the first big hurdle which you got to cross.
If you were to create a structure for people for our audience who are like that right now, if you were to redo that process of learning communication, learning to sell and market, how would you do it differently now with all of the access, right? What kind of tools or at least structure would you go to? What's your go-to structure if you would do it now? Where would you start?
Well, when I started, obviously we didn't have Chat GPT. Um, and today I feel, what would the world do without Chat GPT? Right? Nobody uses Google anymore. It's all Chat GPT, right? And I was going through something the other day, and apparently there is AI platform where it will literally hunt properties for you, underwrite the properties for you, even get you funded for the deal. Like, we'll give the resources to get the funding. I'm just saying, but like, the world is changing so fast. I won't say, you know, for good, as long as people make the most out of it in terms of in a good way, because every technology will have its own pros and cons, right? Um, but yeah, coming back to a question, Lee, I would say, yeah, I mean, I spent a lot of time, standing in front of the mirror and talking to myself, like just blabbering to myself. That helped because initially I was very reluctant to talk to people. Like I said, I was, more of an introvert, and I was had my closed circle of friends, and I was okay. That is it, right? Um, but that helped. Again, like I said, we didn't have ChatGPT at that point of time, so it was more of a manual work, and I had to sort of I read it on in a book, and this is what you should do. Every day morning, I'll get up and stand in front of the mirror, and I'll just talk to myself, rather, right? Just about any topic. Um, that helped, to be honest. But again, like I said, it was more of uh, the job skills I had at that point of time and talking to people every day in a retail centric background that helped a lot.
I see. Oh, that's quite literally too, like quite literally standing right in front of the mirror and really speaking out loud and talking to yourself. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, kind of like an actor as well. Not so different than like an actor, right? That's cool.
Right.
That's cool. Never thought about that. You wouldn't think about that in real estate and selling, right? You wouldn't think about doing that, but like that's a really good tip. I want to go back to again with all of the questions. You've worked in so many places. You said UK, India, Africa, I believe Nigeria and Canada, right? How have those experiences shaped the way you see business?
Uh every country is different. Um, the culture is different. Their buying methods are different. Um, so when I talk to people these days, again, like I said, it just comes naturally to me. And thanks to the fact that I've worked in all these countries where I've got to meet different people, different mindset, you know, different, like I said, different culture. Um, Again, the market is different. The way they do business is different. The way they buy is different. The way they sell is different. Um, but again, end of the day, if you just sum everything up, um, it sort of just creates that flexibility in your mind, in terms of, okay, when you're talking to people, you know that you got to understand where their mindset is when you're talking to them, right? What are they thinking? Now, when I talk to sellers, for example, who wants to buy, sell their house, I do not talk to them thinking I'm going to give them a cash offer or a trade finance offer, or, I do not even talk to about numbers. I try to dig deep and understand the motivation and the pain behind them selling the house. Problem is, these days I come across a lot of wholesalers, a lot of people saying, okay, they can't talk to the sellers and like, okay, we're going to give you 100 grand when the house is worth 300 grand, without even knowing if that number is going to work for them or not, right? Nobody understands, nobody thinks of getting deep into the motivation side of things and understand why are they selling it? What's the reason behind it? And if you call them with that mindset of solving their problem, then numbers become secondary, trust
So
me, right?
flexibility and adaptability is what I got from there, right? And like,
100%.
how much as you've transitioned, or I know that's way back, but like now that you're in real estate, how much of the emotional side of each client affects your decision making in closing a deal or making an offer? Do you take that into consideration, or are you more of a technical, analytical person?
Mix of both. But I would say, like I said, the emotional factor when I'm talking to the seller, that holds 80% of it. Obviously, after that, if the numbers do not make sense, we move on to the next one. But if I do not address the concern, if I do not address the problem what the seller is going through, I'll never be able to come up with a number in the first place.
I see. So it's 80%. That's actually quite big. And for a lot of realtors who are trying to make money, we're all trying to make money. Like you said, it's all selling and marketing. It's quite difficult, right? To always consider the emotional side. Well, you said that it's flexibility. Oh, you said it's more of, sorry, there's a question that I wanted to latch on to, but um, if you were to describe yourself, or someone who knows you were to describe yourself in one sentence, uh, what would your strengths be in that one sentence? What would they say that Souvik's strength is?
Uh, Approachable, um, and go giver. I believe in something you help 1 billion people and you become a billionaire. Um, Not that I know everything, but if somebody, I don't know how many calls do I get. I cannot address all the calls every day because obviously, I'm busy. But if I'm not, and then I can, pick up that phone and talk to somebody and who is just starting out maybe and needs some help in terms of getting started, I'm like an open book. I will share everything I know to get you started, to get you going, right? Um, so yeah, like I said, I'm approachable, and like I said, I'm always ready to give and add value in every way I can. So yeah, I think that's one of the biggest trends in today's world because everything is so sort of conservative and protective and like, okay, we do not want to share my knowledge, you know, but the more you share, the more you learn in a way, right? So yeah, that's pretty much sums it up, I guess.
Approachability is one of it's going to be your biggest strength. And I would like to transition to your how you transitioned into, I don't know if transition is the right word. You said it was always in the back of your head. At what point did you start channeling your experience in business and sales and marketing? At one point in your career, did you start channeling all of your experience into the kind of work that you're doing today?
I would say again, it just came naturally to me. I mean, I obviously, like I said, it's what is real estate? Same thing, sales and marketing. What was it doing before? Sales and marketing. So, end of the day, again, like I said, that work experience of 20 years behind me in a customer centric role, in a customer facing role, that helped a lot. So this was just an easy transition for me. If you call it a transition, it was just an easy one. Obviously, I had to learn the product line because again, every product line was different. Staples is different, even though it's sales and marketing. Staples is different. Something else is different. Your 9 to 5 is different. Real estate is different. That's more of gaining those skills and get acquainted to that, you know, the skill set. But in terms of the intent and in terms of the mindset, it was always there, and it was a smooth transition.
Was it that deciding your decision to go on real estate, was it a calculated risk? Because the job, we had a guest and had this quote. He said it's called the golden handcuffs. Being in a job, being comfortable. He called it the golden handcuffs, which I believe everybody would agree. Like you're comfortable, you're earning, but you're not really progressing. You're not moving forward. If a person were to, uh, w- if a person wants to reach their goal, wants to move forward, but
Mhm.
they feel like they're shackled in those golden handcuffs, for you, so two questions in this. Was it a calculated risk for you, or was it a go big or go home? Did you save enough, or did you wait for it, or was it like all or nothing for you?
Um, like I mentioned before, it's coming out of your comfort zone, right? And that's where people sort of hold back, and they feel I don't have enough savings in order for me to pursue what I want to pursue. You will never have enough savings. You'll always feel that it's not enough. Okay. So you go to take that risk. You go to, if you love doing, like I said, if you love doing what you do, then it doesn't feel like a job anymore. Right. Learn the skill set, learn in terms of adding value, be a go-giver, get better at what you do, put in the grind, be consistent. Money is just a catalyst, it's gonna follow you. But be good at what you do.
And double down on what you're good at, I guess, right?
100%.
Right,
100%.
I see. Well, can you walk us through now? Let's get into the now. Can you walk us through what your current role or business is? What does it look like today, or what is a day look like for Souvik?
Pretty busy.
Oh,
I know
obviously.
I always say that you go to work on the business and not in the business. Now, when you start, you obviously go to work in the business. So we are going through that phase where we are trying to streamline a few things, and so that we going to work, like I said, a lot more work on the business than in the business. But like I said, in right now, a day is like full of talking to sellers, talking to buyers, talking to other investor partners, buying underwriting deals for ourselves, networking, raising capital, um, looking at deals in the US, and yeah, and learning a new skill every day. Right? It's just even that could be a very small thing, but learning something new every day, that's very important. If you learn something new every day, you learn 30 different things. Well, 30 things in a month, correct? That so like I said, even it doesn't have to be like a book. You don't have to finish a book in a one day. But even if it's one motivational quote for that matter, that might change your mindset, right? But learn something new every day. When you get back home, you should feel okay. This is what I've learned today. This is what I've come across today, which I like, right? So yeah. So long story short, it's the day looks quite hectic, quite busy. But like I said, it doesn't seem to be hectic to me because I love doing what I do.
What you're still doing that to this day? Like you're still trying to learn something? Do you veer away from your business and role? Like maybe learn to play the piano? I know, but for some people it's stimulation, right? Um,
Mm.
what's one thing recently that you're finding yourself that you're still learning every day, like a skill?
I'm still learning the skill of real estate. You cannot learn 100%. You always improving. Even after 10 years, I would still stay humble, and I won't still know everything, because the day you feel that you know everything, you're done, you're dusted. Okay. So like I said, even in real estate, there is so much to learn. There is so much. It's just there's so much. It's a vast industry, right? Um, there is so much stuff you can do. I do not invest in stocks. I do not invest anywhere else. It's only real estate, by the way, because that's what I understand, right? I always invest in something where I can touch and feel it's a tangible asset against something where, you know, like, again, like I said, I know people invest in stocks, in crypto, and they're doing amazingly well, and that's great. That's just not my role of play, right? I mean, I do not invest in stocks or crypto anymore. I used to, but I don't do that anymore. It's only real estate.
Well, I could sense that you've had experience in that turning underperforming operations into successful ones, right? I
Mhm.
think you've had that experience. What's your general approach when you first step into a business?
Uh, I obviously set a goal, and people say, okay, you should have a yearly goal. I never look at a yearly goal. I mean, I do, but at the same time, for me, it's getting to your goals daily, getting to your goals weekly. Because if you wait for a year to achieve your goals, but before you know it, that one year is gone, right? And I always feel there are two things to it. There's a destination, and then there's a journey to your destination. Enjoy the journey, get better at the journey, enjoy every step of the journey. You will reach your destination, trust me, on the later. But you got to enjoy the journey. The problem is a lot of people feel okay, we got to earn or achieve this much in one year, but there is no plan, there is no journey behind getting to a destination, right? So it's one step at a time. You cannot just get up and start running. You will fall in your place. You got to get up, and when you were born, and you got to crawl, and then slowly you stand up, and then slowly you start walking, right? You cannot just A newborn baby cannot just get up and start running from day one, right? So like I said, it's you got to enjoy every step, and you got to enjoy every step of the journey. which will lead you to your destination.
So that's your approach. That's what I got. Whether the business is underperforming or doing well, that mindset is your first step into any business, any real estate, enjoying the journey, but still
100%.
having goals. Still having
Oh yeah.
goals. You said not a year, but it's important to have a goal, right? Do you have a goal every day, every month? Because like you said, every year, I do get that. If you set a goal for a year, it's easy to be lazy or like, oh, I have a year to do it right. For you, what's the ideal timeline for that? You have to keep yourself in check, right? So, what would be that metric? Is it every month, every quarter, or every day?
Weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly. Right? Now, saying that that's the bigger picture, but then every day I've got my individual goals. When I go to the office, like I said, my first goal is to learn something new. Even it could be a very small thing, but something new, right? Um, you got to develop your skills every day, right? And again, like I said, it doesn't have to be something big. It could be a very small thing, but something which you didn't know yesterday, but you know today, if that makes sense, right? Because in terms of what we do, that stays the same every day. What we do, right? We will still talk to sellers. We'll still talk to the buyers. We talk to the investor partners. We talk to the contractors, the property managers, and everybody else. And that's a part of the game, right? That's a routine job. But even with that, you know, all that, you got to just sort of take out some time for yourself and learn that extra skill. Even if it takes half an hour for you to do it, or even 10 minutes for you to do it, that's fine. But again, like I said, learn something new which you didn't know yesterday, but you know today.
I want to move. I want to not transition, but I want to stay on that motivational part. Like, how do you stay motivated? How do you stay motivated when it comes to? I'm pretty sure there are those days where you feel like I don't want to, I don't want to learn today, or like people like I've been doing this for like a month or like a week. How do you stay motivated? And what advice would you give to a person who's constantly finding struggles and motivating yourself or being driven?
In my opinion, you cannot stay motivated every day, but you can stay consistent. So if you're consistent in what you do, if you put in the effort, if you put in the hard work, trust me, you will be motivated once things fall into place. But you can't be you can't be motivated enough every day, but not be consistent. That's not going to take you anywhere. So be consistent on what you do. Do not give up. Do something for 6 months before you give up. At least 6 months, and put in 100%. Not that, okay, I'm just doing this for 6 months and then I'll see, but I'm not putting in the effort. That's not going to work. But if you're putting in the effort and the hard work for 6 months before you decide this is meant for me or not meant for me. The problem is people start something, do it for 2 months, and they're like, oh, I don't think this is meant for me.
Very
Right?
powerful.
So, yeah, you got to just, like I said, you got to put in the grind. Nothing is easy. Um, Nothing is easy. And you got to put in the grind, you got to put in the effort, I wouldn't say, you got to sort of compromise on a few things, right? Maybe stop watching Netflix, because Netflix is, I'm not saying do not watch Netflix, don't get me wrong. Netflix might sue me for this, but um, I'm not saying do not watch Netflix, but at the same time, Netflix is not going to earn your bread. Okay. So, yes, you sometimes got to detach yourself and, you know, but I always say these are all distractions. So you got to stay away from these distractions if you really want to achieve your goals. Okay. Because you put in the hard work and the effort for the next few years, you'll enjoy the rest of your life.
And you will regret if you don't do it. I have to agree with that, right? You will regret it if you don't do
Yes.
it. 100%. Well, I'm sorry to ask if this is too personal. Please tell me. I want to get to know you more in that motivational side. Can you share a specific story where you felt like you were almost going to give up, or not give up, at least a spell where you felt like um, the motivation or the drive wasn't there? Can you share a story and how you got out of that? If you can be specific, where a memory where it's like, oh, I really felt like I don't like moving today, like was there a moment? It seems like, or if there's none, please do tell.
Oh no, there was for sure, and I'm sure everybody, you know, goes through this at some point. So when I came to Canada, my first job, like I mentioned, was as a finance manager for dealership. When I started and I was going through the training, every day I used to come back home, go back on Indeed and LinkedIn and start looking for jobs because this was something different for me. And I was like, I cannot do this. This is just too much. Like this is just just different than what I'm used to, right? Mm. And I was like, I don't think I can do this. It's like a lot of, go talk to the banks, talk to the lenders, get people approved for the vehicle, and there are a lot of other stores, stuff associated with that. And I was like, this is not meant for me. I cannot do it. Then I was like, but I don't give up. Souvik doesn't give up though. So I'm not giving up. And guess what happens? Before I don't work at the dealership anymore after this is what I do full time. But at one point, I was number one finance manager for Hyundai across the Maritimes, and number three in or four in Canada for Hyundai. I generated $2.5 million just myself in 2.5 years for the dealership. 2 years, I guess. And that was like I'm leveraging my time for somebody else. I'm still getting paid, um, decent paycheck, but I was like, I got to leverage my time for more money and get to do what I love to do, right? Because I every day I used to love my job. Don't get me wrong, but end of the day, it was still a job. There'll be people still tell you what needs to be done, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, this. But I obviously, like I said, real estate was always at the back of my mind, and I knew I'm going to do that at some point, right? So yeah, I think that's where I didn't give up, and when I didn't give up, and I sort of did whatever best I could do from my end. If you ask me if I was satisfied with in what terms of what I achieved, I did. Pretty satisfied. Not completely satisfied. Well, you can never be completely satisfied, but I did whatever best I could do, and I didn't leave any stones unturned in terms of not giving my 100%. I give my 100% in what I do, 100%. Because, like I said, it was very easy for me to give up and maybe just go get another job. And then this would have played in my mind that, did I give my 100%? Maybe I didn't.
That's making me reflect, to be honest with you. Like, really, it's imagine if you did give up, right? Like those numbers wouldn't have happened. Quite literally, like honestly, that would have been crazy to be. Not giving up is the only thing that made sense, right? And I think that's a gift. I do believe you have a gift in that, and like, even though you were considering like, oh, this is not for me, I'm not. You still did it. So it's inspiration, making me reflect as well, in everything that we do. And I hope our audience would like reflect on that as well. By the way, are you a one man team, or do you have like a team of people with you?
I've got business partners, and I've got a team in place as well. Yeah, so it's just not, I cannot do it myself, right? You got to, everybody has got different skill sets, and you got to sort of work with that, and that's how you grow.
What do you think sets you apart? What do you think sets your approach apart with your partners from real estate? What do you guys do differently, yeah, as a team?
We just handle different aspects of the business, So obviously we still do real estate. But like I said, everybody has got different skills, and one of my business partners is obviously looking at all the admin side of things in terms of working with the CRM platform, talking to the lawyers, and everything else to go with it. Another business partner recently joined us, and he has done some fix and flips before, and he's investing with us in the US. And we recently purchased a property together here in Canada as well. And then we have some other members of a team across different provinces, mm, where you know we do business.
So you stay in your own lane. I think that's what you do differently. That's what I got from there. Like focus on what you're good at and like coordinate properly. Is that right?
Yeah, I would love to do that, but sometimes I try to get in everywhere in the sense,
Do it
like
yourself, I say.
yeah. And I sometimes, and I say, oh no, you got to control your emotions and actions, you got to stay within your zone, right? But yeah, like I said, because if something else pops up where I feel, oh, that's something new, I didn't know this, then my headspace will be right there. So, which I think helps at times, and then sometimes maybe it doesn't. I don't know, but I love it, right? Like I said, when you love doing something, um, then it just comes automatically to you, right? Because you're eager to
Naturally.
learn more. 100%.
Right. Comes naturally. I get it. I see. Well, let's transition to we've been talking about wins, we've been talking about motivation. I want to transition to challenges because I think that's where our audience can learn a lot. With all of that experience in your bag, all of that experience, all of that success, I'm pretty sure not everything has been smooth, right? What are some of the more complex challenges you're dealing with these days?
It's just the market overall in terms of real estate. I won't say people will say the market is saying this, that. I do not use that term. I say the market is being corrected. I'll give you an example. In Toronto, Ontario, people bought properties for millions of dollars a couple of years back. They're not worth millions of dollars right now, right? So a lot of people have lost a lot of money, right? But again, that's a part of the game, and I keep on saying this. It's a cycle. And one of my business partners actually told me this: be greedy when everybody else is fearful, and be fearful when everybody else is greedy. So, in terms of when you're investing in real estate, when everybody is saying this is not the right time, there will never be a right time. Let me tell you this, by the way. Either the interest rates will be high, that the prices will be high, interest rates go down, the prices will go up. There will be something or the other. Okay. So, you go to buy it for 10 years. You will thank me later. Trust me. Buy real estate, keep it for 10 years. You will thank me later, because that's what's going to make you wealthy. The problem is when somebody buys a property and then the market sort of again goes to this cycle, they start panicking and feel, oh, I lost all my money in real estate and it's not a good investment. Well, this is just for the audience as well, I guess. If this helps somebody, that's the time you do not sell, you hold it. But you can only hold it if that property is making you some money in terms of cash flow. People chase appreciation and equity, they chase cash flow, because equity comes and goes, cash flow always flows. So when I say you go to hold the property for 10 years, right? You can only hold it for 10 years if you're not coming out of money from your pocket every month. But if the property is giving you a 300, 400, $500 cash flow every month, would you be in a desperate situation to sell the property? If you're going through the cycle, no. You're going to still hold it for long, right? So, yeah, that's just a quick input, I guess. But yeah, coming back to your question, it's not obviously always easy. We'll have months where we close on a few deals, we have everything going in our favor. and there'll be another month where things will just not go in your favor, right? And that's part of the game. Like I said, that's part of the game. You got to take it up, in your chin, and then move on and just go to work or look at tomorrow as a new day and start fresh, right? So, in terms of the market overall, obviously it's challenging. But again, like I said, it's a cycle, right? And this will change. Maybe next year will be better. Who knows? But you got to just keep, be consistent and keep putting in the hard work.
That's a good mindset to have because I have something similar as well. For as long as you have the property, you haven't lost money yet, right? I think you would agree. A lot of people think like it's too low, I'm losing money. You're not yet. You still have the property, right? Whether you're earning from it passively, it's still there. It's just
Yeah,
about timing and like I like what you said as well. There's never a right time because even if it appreciates, you sell it, you find yourself sometimes like it even appreciates more. So you're gonna feel like it's like, so you got to go for it. I get it. I get it. And like keep
100%.
it at the right time.
Well, that's why there's a saying, buy and hold. Why do they say that? There is a reason behind saying buy and hold, right? So, for anybody who is new to real estate, I just want to say something. You got to figure out your why. Like, why do you want to do this? Do you love doing this, or do you want to do this for your kids? Do you want to, do this for your future, generations? Like, what's your why? And then figure out if you're looking at today income, which is wholesaling, tomorrow income, which is fix and flip, or forever income, which is your buy and hold. And it could be a mix of both. It could be a mix of both. You can still be a deal finder and then be a deal keeper. So basically, you wholesale three deals, you buy one deal. You wholesale another three deals, you buy another one deal. But increase your portfolios, buy properties, guys, because end of the day, in 10 years, that's what's gonna give you the money. That's what's gonna give you that. I call it cash flow makes you rich, appreciation or equity makes you wealthy. But for you to be wealthy, you got to be rich, and the cash flow will make you rich.
Can you repeat that? Sorry, that's a really good quote. Cash
uh,
flow makes, yeah. Can you repeat that?
I said cash flow makes you rich, equity makes you wealthy. But for you to be wealthy, you got to be rich. The cash flow will make you rich. So when you buy property, chase cash flow, do not chase equity.
Honestly, that's really good. That's really good. I'm not sure if I'm wrong to say this. It's not sad, but like I think you would do well as in the stock market as well, because like it's a very similar mentality, right? Similar mentality in that one. But I'm happy that you found that's a really really good mentality because it's like um, I've talked to some of the guests as well. A lot of them don't believe in, not really don't believe in, but there's this common notion where passive income, particularly with rentals, needs a lot of scale, which could contribute to cash flow, right? A lot of them are leading toward active income in real estate, the buy and selling, bird dogging, and all of that. What's your take on that? What's your take on rentals as your cash flow or passive income versus the active side of it?
Good question.
Mm.
So when you say passive, now, okay, there are a couple of things here. I always say buy a property and let the property decide its exit strategy. The problem is most of the investors will be like, oh, I want to do Section 8 and I'll buy a property. I don't even know if there's HOA or not, if Section 8 is allowed or not. But if I buy a property and then I can decide if I can do a Section 8 or a hard vash, which is, Section 8 for veterans, I can do a co-living, I can wrap it, I can do I can sell it to an end buyer, I can do a lot of stuff, right? I can do assisted living, I can do clinical housing, I can do sober living, I can do a lot of things. You got to figure out a way to increase your cash flow. Now, you can do 300, and I know people, and don't get me wrong. I mean, there are investors who make 300 bucks cash flow in one property. But for you to achieve your financial freedom, you need at least 30 properties like that, giving you 300 bucks each a month for you to make 9 grand a month. Or, or you have 10 properties giving you $1,000 cash flow per month. Now, when you ask me, am I looking at doors or portfolio? I look at only one thing: cash flowing asset. It's not a property for me. It could be a business, it could be a laundromat, it could be a car wash. I don't care as long as it's cash flows. Because, like I said before, it's always about the cash flow, right? Because you got to understand 100 doors come with 100 headaches,
Yes, that's a good one.
right?
Yes.
So if I can have 10 doors and still make 10 grand a month, why would I buy 50 doors to make 10 grand a month? I'm not saying don't do it, but there will be a time where it'll be like, this is too much, right? So, and people, it's just you want to figure out your right exit strategy, or I would say rather the usage, as in what do you want to do with the property, right? There are a lot of stuff you can do with the property. Invest in multifamily, that's massive. Like you buy a 10 unit property, you increase your rent by 100 bucks, you that increases the valuation of the property. You do a refi, you're laughing, right? So you got to decide on the asset class and then the usage. So your asset class could be a mobile home park, RV park, a single family, multifamily, businesses, could be anything, right? And the usage is your co-living or Airbnb, assisted living, sober living, Section 8, hot bash, could be a lot of stuff. Right? Also, there's a lot of shiny object syndrome. Right? So obviously, you come across a lot of things every day. And I was a part of that as well, by the way. Don't get me wrong. Um, but then you got to decide on what's working for you and what's not, and then stick to one thing. Get your skills and master at that one skill before you move on to the other one.
So I think shifting the mentality from saying it's passive, cash flow is like the active passive, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, everything should be um, uh, active if you have the right mentality, right? And like that, 100 doors, 100 headaches. I've come across people who even multifamily, right? Like cleaning toilets, fixing leaky pipes just to save a buck. 100 properties, 100 headaches. I like that. 100 doors, 100 headaches. I like that quote.
Right. I mean, you have property managers, right? But if something goes wrong, the property manager is still gonna call you,
Yes.
and you're still managing the property managers, right? So where you are still involved. So there's nothing called 100% passive, right? Unless you're being a private money lender or a private money partner, that's passive. But if you have rental properties with getting cash flow every month and you feel that's a passive income, I beg to differ. That's passive income,
We're
in my
all in
opinion,
agreement
by
with
the
this. Yes, yes, we're all so far we've had 4 guests who we're all in agreement, including me. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people they think that passive is that quick, the rich versus wealthy thing, right? Like what you said earlier. It's like
Yeah.
it's quick, but like you really got you 100% agree. You really have to be active in things and like it's gonna feel like a job as well, right? Those passive doors, it's gonna feel like a job, no matter how you put it. It's unless that's what you like to do, right? Other people like to do it. So really good.
Right.
Now, what are some recurring challenges you see, um, i- like businesses struggle with? What are some recurring challenges some business or most businesses struggle with? Especially, I want to get into the specifics here. What are some challenges the business struggle with, especially from a financial and operational standpoint?
I always believe that a business runs on three P's: people, process, profitability. You compromise on any one of those, your business will never be successful. Okay. Now, in terms of the challenges, look, I mean, every business is different. It's obviously hard for me to say because I don't know what there's not a generic answer to this, in my opinion, because it, like I said, it's all businesses are different, and it all depends on what stage are they in at that point of time. Right? Um, it's just again that it all boils down to again the process and the systems in place, and you got to upgrade yourself. The biggest problem where people lose out is they do not upgrade themselves, even from business standpoint. By the way, the business needs to upgrade themselves. Well, the people need to upgrade themselves, right? You got to keep up to the technology. I'm telling you, like AI. I'm sure you know you were aware, but AI is taking over everything. The only thing which AI cannot take over is AI cannot replace you being a landlord. AI is taking over everything. Like there is a company called Roofers, so they do the roofs for you. So what happens to all those roofing companies and the contractors? They're like self-driven vehicles already. So what happens to the Uber drivers? Amazon just replaced, got in like I think I was reading some article the other day. I think 50,000 robots or something in their warehouses. So what happens to all those people, right? So very soon, what's going to happen is the government is going to give you a subsidy income. They're just going to say, okay, we are giving you $2,000, for example, per month. They've already started doing this in a few states. We're going to give you $2,000 a month, for example. You go to sustain in that $2,000. What are you going to do? Can you buy a house, put food on the table? Well, what you're gonna do is you're just gonna rent a room, which brings to my co-living model, which I was talking about earlier, which is the affordability problem, right? So it's end of the day, you go to, like I said, it's AI is just AI is not. I'm not gonna even say that AI is going to take over everything. It's already is. If you like even in the Montana airport, they have these robots doing the housekeeping. So what happens to all this housekeeping stuff, right? The robots don't call in sick. The robots don't say, "Well, my car broke down." The robots will, "I'm not feeling well today. I got to watch the hockey match. I want to watch soccer." Nothing, right? So yeah, it's like I said, it's gonna be. I won't say it's gonna be a different world as we are getting into that zone where if somebody can, as a new investor, if they can cater something which is gonna cater the affordability crisis, they'll be doing amazingly well for the next 15, 20 years because that's not going anywhere.
That's a niche that that's a niche a lot of people overlook. I say that's true. If you come to think of it, people are wanting the big ones right now. It's good. I was with a business in North Carolina for luxury homes, and like that was the big deal there because like people come and go because it's a military base in Jacksonville, right? So yeah, a lot of people are overlooking those affordable housing, and if you scale it enough, it's going to be big, right? Just the proper approach. That's a really good take on that. Sorry, if you could answer this quickly, and I'll go back to the AI because I want to know your opinion on that, your stance on that. It's very Canadian of you to mention hockey and football. How long have you been in Canada?
Yeah, I've just been here for what 4 years. So we are
Phew.
Edmonton Oilers. I'm in
Oh,
Edmonton, right? So yeah, we're the Oilers, I guess. And I do not that I mean I watch a lot of hockey. I don't, to be honest. I still watch cricket,
oh, okay,
but
okay.
whenever I can. But yeah, it's just it's more of yeah. But Oilers is obviously very very happening here, and we go Oilers, right?
It's like a default for sports, but I like it. You stuck to your roots with cricket, and I think there was news about cricket, like India losing to a country, I think, which is quite funny. Do you know
Well,
that? Like, was there?
almost in the verge of losing. We didn't lose finally, but almost
Oh
in the
no,
verge
not
of
yeah, yeah.
losing.
You're right,
Yeah.
right. Almost, almost. That would have been funny though. Like you guys are the king, should be the king, not are the kings of the cricket. I like that. Sorry, thank you for answering that quickly. And going back to the AI, what's your stance on that? What's your stance on AI? Because for me, I can't say I'm neutral. I think I like it. I'm not fully supporting it, but I'm on leaning. Of course, not replacing the jobs that people have, but for me, it has helped a lot. Let's be honest, with your business and our business as well, AI has helped a lot in efficiency. What's your stance on that?
Oh, 100%. Like we have CRM platform in place and we have the bot talking to all the sellers and get the pictures and everything. Even before acquisition manager gets on the call with the sellers, the bot doesn't sleep, you see, right? So, like you said, AI obviously has done a lot of good stuff, and obviously it's only going to get better. But at the same time, like I said, with every new technology, you have to compromise on some stuff, which brings me down to again the job losses and everything else. And it's already happening. Look at the amount of job losses on right now. And this is again not to upgrade themselves. Like, what are they going to upgrade on? Like, because you're going to upgrade on something which is again taken over by AI, right? That's why I keep on saying, start buying properties. Like, even if it's a small two bed, one bath, you can still get a property for 40, 50 grand. But start buying something. Keep those properties for 10 years, 15 years, because that's what's going to help you in the long run. And it's never too late. They always say, oh, I wish I would have started earlier, or this is not the right time. When it comes to real estate, it's all about you do not wait to buy real estate. You buy and you wait, right? Which brings me to the same point, like buy and hold. Hey, look at the last 100 years. Every time you've gone through this cycle, up and down, market crashes and market picks up. It's always a cycle. But look at the last 100 years data. In next 10 years, on an average, okay, your properties will double. If you keep a property for 10 to 15 years, it will double. Look at the last 100 years data, right? Because who is doing the mortgage payment? Who is making the mortgage payments? Your tenants are making the mortgage payments. And it's appreciating, right? So, like I said, I mean, people can call me a knucklehead if somebody can prove me wrong and say, well, real estate is a bad investment. It's just because you haven't bought the right property. You haven't bought a cash flowing property. That's when you feel that, okay, it's a bad investment, right? Now, don't get me wrong. Like any other investments, this is a risk. There is a risk involved. But again, there is no risk, no gain, right?
No risk, no gain. And like, unless AI starts owning property, they start buying property, right?
Which is not going to
That's
happen.
wow.
Well, they never
That'd
know.
be. We'll never know, right? Right. That's not gonna happen. Like we're saying that as as people in
Uh,
real estate, but like that'd be crazy. That'd be crazy if AI starts owning property, and
I
then
know.
you gotta buy. You gotta buy everything now. Yeah. Well, people, process, and profitability. I like that. The three Ps. I want to focus on people and going back to what you said way back earlier in our conversation, where having the right people, because there will be jobs and there will be roles that, again, AI might never replace in our lifetime. We'll never know, but in our lifetime, right? In the side of people, how, because you've managed people before, right? And how do you balance metrics, especially in real estate and like doing the process? How do you balance them keeping their metrics and keeping them motivated? Because sometimes metrics can be used as a demotivator and sometimes it could be a motivator. How can you balance that? Metrics and just keep telling them not to give up? Because sometimes metrics can tell them they're sales metrics, marketing metrics. How do you balance that?
Like I said before, the It's very hard to keep people motivated. It's not hard to ensure they're being consistent. The same applies to me. So when I talk to them, all I say, keep on grinding, be consistent, you're gonna achieve the results. Trust me. But when people say, "Oh no, it's easy to get them motivated every day," I'm telling you that's BS. I'll tell you why. Say you're working on something, or I don't know, a couple of months on a deal, and the deal falls through. Okay, if you're telling me that the person will be right motivated right at that point of time, mm, no, stop. Right? But can the person be consistent and move on and just start doing the same thing what they've been doing? So it's always on the basis and linked to the consistency than compared to as compared to being motivated every day. So end of the day, like I said, and when we get them on board, I always tell them it's not easy. And when people say, "Oh, we're getting into wholesaling, which is going to be a side hustle," well, it's not a side hustle. Wholesaling is a full-time job.
Yes,
If
100%.
wholesaling would have been a side hustle, everybody would do it. Nobody would do Skip. Nobody, again, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, nobody would do Skip, nobody do Instacart, nothing, right? So it's not, you cannot just, on these gurus tell you that, oh, you can have 2 hours for your wholesaling and you're going to make 20 grand a month. Show me one person who puts in 2 hours a week and makes 20 grand a month. Okay. So wholesaling is a full time job. If you have a full time job and you earn well, you're happy, do not get into wholesaling. Then you buy properties directly from wholesalers. If you're not happy with your job and you want to be a full-time real estate investor and you just start with wholesaling, that's fine because you got to dedicate your full-time hours for the wholesaling, right? So, like I said, it's when people say it's just a part-time, you can just do part-time, make 20 grand. So and that's when I said it depends upon your buy box and it depends upon your goals, not buy box. You're looking at today income, tomorrow income, forever income, right? So it all boils down to that. If you're happy with your job, that's fine. Keep going. You're good income, perfect. Keep going. You just buy properties from the wholesalers directly, and that's absolutely fine, right? So yeah, coming back to your question, Lee. Like I said, it's very, very hard to keep them motivated all the time, but I always tell them that be consistent in what you're doing. You're doing, guys are doing a good job. I mean, like I said, it takes a lot of hustle, it takes a lot of grind, but do not give up. Do not give up. That's the mantra. Do not give up, right?
Sorry to put you on the spot, but like I'm known I've been known in our early podcast to see the fire and feistiness of our guests. What's your limit in if you have people under your wing, right? And you trying to keep them consistent. What is your limit to what if they're consistently bad? But they're consistent, they're just trying. What's your limit to that? Because obviously there are those punctuality, communication. If it's there, of course, we're going to keep them. But what would be your limit? What are your limits to saying, okay, your consistency is not good? So, what if they're consistently bad? I want to see your fire. I want to see how you would handle that, or how are you with that?
Yeah, and I think you have sort of made out by now. For me, it's like, let's go, boom, boom, boom. Not like, okay, we're doing this and then we'll wait, then we follow up next day. No, you got to go on it, act on it, boom, boom. It's a fast world, man. Like you cannot just, sit back and relax and wait things to happen, right? So when it comes to, like you said, people in the team, as long as they're putting in the effort, which I can understand. I mean, I'm experienced, right? So you can make out, and it doesn't have to be. Don't need to be experienced. You can actually make out who is putting in the effort and who isn't. We have a tracking sheet. We see how many calls are being made, how many how much time they're spending on the phones. You can track all that. Now, end of the day, it also depends on how hungry you are. If there is no hunger in you, I'll make up the first day, I'll even not even get you on board. And now, again, don't get me wrong, things change, scenarios change, and you stop being hungry at some point, right? But again, when I see there's enough work and grind and consistency being put on, I'll give them as much time as we can. Right? Now, again, don't get me wrong, wholesaling is not for everyone. It's the same thing like any other businesses. Right? That's fine. But again, like you said, I would give 6 months at least, like I mentioned before as well. If you do consistently something for 6 months and you still do not switch or achieve the results, then we got to go back to the drawing board and figure out what's going on.
So you're it's a combination. It's a combination of,
Yeah,
I think, finding the right people as well, right? Finding the right people, because if they're still
always.
consistent and like their, I guess their skills or qualifications are not up to par. Of course, the business has to still, we keep going, we keep going. 100% agree.
I believe in something. You can
Go ahead.
always teach or transfer the skills to someone because skills are transferable. You can train them. You can learn, teach them the skills. You cannot teach them the intent. So when you have that hunger, when you have that intent to do well, I'll be more than happy to spend as many hours required with them every day. But even if they haven't spoken to sellers before in their life, but if I do not see that hunger, if I do not see that intent, it doesn't even matter if this person has closed 200 deals, I'll still not get him on my team.
That's a fire. That's the fire I'm looking for. Thank you. You've given more. Like exactly what I was looking for. That's the fire. I like that. I like that. This is, I'm sorry to keep using the word motivation. It's a good starter, but I do agree with you. Motivation, it's coming. It comes and goes, right? It's the drive. It's really. I got this from another guest as well, and we agree on like it's the drive, the intent. For you, it's intent. It's the same thing, drive, intent. Motivation comes and goes. So I got that fire from you. You have to be You have to at least fight to be qualified, right? If you know you're not qualified, I love it. Well, I latch onto one word you said, buy box. What do people get wrong with their buy boxes? In your opinion, this current market, what are some so two questions here as well. What do people get wrong with their buy boxes, especially their approach? And what are some trends that you're seeing now that are about to change in real estate?
Um, in terms of buy box, it all depends on what sort of usage are you looking at. Somebody could be looking at a co-living property as a usage, and their buy box would change. It also depends upon the market. Okay? I mean, the biggest thing with the buy box is the market. Is it Texas? Is it Florida? Is it somewhere else? You'll decide on the market first in terms of what you want to do. Like, say, for example, if I want to do a sandwich wrap and I want to choose Cleveland for that matter, well, that's not going to work because Cleveland has got the eviction laws over there is very sort of strict, very tight. It's going to take 2 years to evict somebody there. If things do not go your way, you do not want to do sandwich wraps there for you. You would prefer doing that in Texas, which is much more easier, or even Georgia, Atlanta, because what happens in Atlanta is like you can foreclose on someone in like 3 weeks or 2 weeks, right? So a lot of factors there. It all depends upon the goals. When you say buy box, it all depends on. Now, saying that, Section 8 is doing great in Ohio. Fix and flip is doing great in Ohio. Okay? In fact, I would say Cleveland. So it all depends on what you want to do, right? What's your usage? What's your goals in terms of the real estate buy box as a whole, in terms of what you want to achieve, and then you choose the market accordingly, and that sets your buy box. Like for example, if I'm doing a co-living, HOA is a deal breaker for me, right? So because if you do co-living and there's a HOA, then there'll be restrictions, and then people say, "Oh, there is HOA with no restrictions." Well, problem is there are no restrictions today, but that doesn't mean they're not going to have restrictions tomorrow. So it's still a no for me. Okay? Then it's at least 4 bed, 2 bath, 1,800 square feet and above. It, enough parking space, I guess. And so yeah, that's my co-living buy box. So it depends, right? But if I say I'm looking at Section 8, then my buy box would not be the same, right? Then a 3 bed, 1 bath is fine. 1,100 square feet is fine. So it depends. It depends upon the big in terms of what deals. Like we do a lot of creative financing deals, right? We do not go through like the property we bought in Texas. We just saved somebody from going through a foreclosure, and we just took over their mortgage payments. So we didn't go through you know any traditional lenders. So it all, again, like I said, it all depends upon your buy box in terms of what do you want to do. Like, what are you trying to achieve? Are you trying to achieve 50 Section 8 properties in the next 10 years? Then your buy box is different. So it follows the buy box, right? In terms of trends, which was the second question, and you mentioned something about working with luxury homes and stuff like that.
Yes.
Airbnbs
Mm,
are
okay.
gonna be a no go. It's already started happening.
Ah,
It's already started
okay.
happening. So Georgia has put in a regulation now on Airbnbs. You cannot do Airbnbs. In Vegas, I think you cannot do it, or you can just do maybe one Airbnb and that's it. So in a place like Vegas. So, and you got to understand, again, it boils down to affordability, because Airbnb is not helping the economy, in the sense it's not helping the affordability crisis, right? Airbnb will still do well, provided Airbnb, as like I always say, it's an experience. Okay. If you go to wood house in the middle of, I don't know, middle of a, like a tree house in the middle of the woods, whatever it is, that's fine. They're not going to stop you from doing that. But if you have a couple of Airbnbs downtown in the middle of, like, where it's residential and stuff like that, that's going to be all gone, right? That's all going to be on gone, because you are not catering the affordability problem. So I think that's the shift which is already started taking place. I think that's going to be a huge shift, and we'll see in the next 1 year, people will be sort of not doing a lot of Airbnbs, or won't be allowed to do a lot of Airbnbs.
I see. That also falls under the cash flow thing, right? It doesn't help the cash flow, I'd say, in my perspective, in a certain perspective, right? The
I
Airbnb
mean,
part.
again, it does. It all depends upon what sort of experience are you giving them. Like I said, if you go tree house, and then the Sun Belt areas, um, you might have better occupancy, and that will generate better cash flow, right? But when you're competing with a lot of other, like Tampa, Florida, right? How many Airbnbs are there? Loads of them. Same with Dallas, Fort Worth. But they're creating all these zoning regulations now, where they're stopping you from doing Airbnb, because, like I said, you're not catering the affordability problem,
Yes. Not contributing.
right? So in terms of cash flow, it's still okay, but at the same time, so the co-living house we have got, the plan is to add additional bedrooms, like make it from 5 bed to a 9 bed, and change the carport to additional bedrooms as well. That make it 10, 11 bed. Look at the cash flow then. Easily will make 3 grand to 4 grand cash flow per month. So if you have 5 of those, Do you need 100 doors? Exactly.
Doesn't make sense to not to do it. Doesn't make sense to do it, right? Because it's already there. Like you'd be shooting yourself in your shooting yourself in the foot if you do that. Well, um, that this has been great. This has been great, Souvik, and I think I would like to have a last statement from you, right? I would like, what would you tell our audience? Um, what would be your last statement? Would be whether it be motivation, encouragement, or something very specific? What would be your exit statement for this podcast? And how do people reach you?
First of all, I would just like to say, as I said before, be a go giver. It doesn't matter how much you know. Whatever you know, share them with the world, right? Like I said before, you help a billion people and you become a billionaire. Have that go giver attitude and gratitude over attitude. Get up in the morning and be grateful for what you have. That's very important. Okay. Not a lot of people are satisfied these days, which is one way to go. At the same time, you got to be in content. I'm not saying be content, but be happy with what you've got, because a lot of people don't even have that. So be grateful and, like I said, get up in the morning and have that feeling of gratitude, right? But yeah, most of all, like I always say, be a go giver. Value to people in every way you can. Before you know, people, you help even one person, that'll take you a long way. But just have that attitude of helping people and adding that extra value all the time, right? Now, they can reach me. Well, that's an interesting question. I'm very active on Facebook. Um, and I think yeah, I think they can just sort of, I'm just trying to, yeah, just Souvik Chatterjee and my name should pop up. It's a verified, you know, link on Facebook anyway. So yeah, they can reach me on Facebook. And like I said, send me a DM and then I'll be more than happy to help in every way I can.
Thank you very much, Souvik, and I really enjoyed this. A lot of reflection, and it was a really valuable episode. We will get a lot of snippets from this. I had to type some stuff, so that was really good. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
for having me, Billy. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
All right, that brings us to the end of today's episode of My Real Estate Story. Big thanks to our guest for taking the time to share their experience and perspective. If you found this episode helpful, be sure to hit subscribe so you can catch future conversations. For more updates and extra content, you can also connect with us on Instagram, coming soon. Appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode of My Real Estate Story.